Well, you're welcome back to the Pulse. Now, the Convention People's Party, CPP, is today marking 56 years since the overthrow of former President Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Ghana's first president was overthrown by the National Liberation Council, led by Lieutenant General Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka, a Ghanaian military officer. The major reason for his overthrow was alleged economic mismanagement stemming from the high foreign debts incurred by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and those resulting from the international problems as well. We'll hear shortly from the party as to why they're declaring today Ghana's Day of Shame. But first, though, Justice Pedu reports as he captures the overthrow of the first president.
When a ruler is useless, you depose him. And therefore, we have deposed Kwame Nkrumah. We don't want tyranny or anything here. And
I was sharing the same office with him. I sat near the door. There's a small table there. He had this table, a huge table over the other side. But most of the time, if I was free, I would be walking around and at times would call and send me to call somebody or to do other things.
This man,
so I was very cool. The fact is, I was very cool.
Ever happened in Ghana?
Yes.
February 24, 1966.
This coup was carried out completely because of the things that had happened in Ghana and because of the tyranny and the despotism of Kwame Nkrumah, the deposed president. Everybody in Ghana was fed up with it.
Chris Hesse was only a 24-year-old when he left the then Gold Coast Film Unit and was seconded to the office of the president.
Our independence is meaningless unless it linked up with the total liberation of the African continent.
When I went to Hanoi, went through Burma, to India, then to Russia, then to China. When China went to Hanoi, when the coup came.
They do not tell us that we should unite, that we are all as good as we are able to make ourselves once we are free.
The day after the announcement, there was in the Ghana camp, and the coup in Ghana meant something. All of us they had no address. Yeah. By the mercy of the Chinese government.
I just want to give you the assurance that I am on my way to Accra. I am on my way to Ghana.
Then I didn't understand the mood in which he was. I couldn't understand him, but I understood him when we were flying back to Moscow. All the ministers left the president. Then they said, what has happened in Ghana is what is going to happen over the continent of Africa. There will be several coups, and we will continue until the whole of the continent, the whole of Africa will go down into the pit. And then the new Africa will grow out of the ashes.
So make a ask, where you
Unlike many of the people on that trip who were thrown into jail on returning to Ghana, Hesse went on to become one of the country's best filmmakers of all time, working as a videographer for all presidents who came after Kwame Nkrumah. He headed the Ghana Film Corporation, which Nkrumah had established, worked there for more than 30 years until he retired in the year 2000. From Nkrumah, he went to Guinea, where he would eventually die in 1972. Justice Pedu, Joy News, Accra.
And such an insightful piece there, giving us a brief background to that day 56 years ago. Joining us in studio now is Kwame Jantua. He's the Political Affairs Committee Chair of the Convention People's Party. Such a pleasure to be having you join us in studio, sir.
Nice being here.
It's just surprising that the CPP is rather describing the day as a day of shame. Why is that of a concern to you as the CPP?
You know, good afternoon to your viewers, and good afternoon to yourself. 24th February,
right.
1966 was a Thursday. Today is 24th January 2022. It's come full circle.
Right.
It's a very sad day for me every day because anytime it comes up, because I experienced it. I was 8 years old when the soldiers came to our house. We used to live, and I'm not sure you even remember that Osu. There was a place in Osu called Osu Ari.
Oh.
Yes, we were living in Osu. Picked my father up. My father was the Minister of Agriculture in Nkrumah's cabinet. And they picked him up at 5 a.m., woke all of us up, and we thought that would be the end.
Right.
The soldiers came back around 8 o'clock, and it was devastation. They lined us up, they tore my mother's clothes off, naked, tore our children's clothes off, and they ransacked the house with guns blaring all around the house. That particular coup, which was Ghana's first coup, was a real bloody coup. Not even 79. The number of people who died within that duration. And it took quite some time because the soldiers made sure that they eliminated everything of Kwame Nkrumah. Now, when you look at what Kwame Nkrumah did between 1956 to the time he was overthrown, quite a lot of infrastructure was in place. And if we even had a certain percentage of that infrastructure today, I think Ghana would have been a better place.
But I guess the question out there is, why is the CPP resurrecting an age-old matter that the nation has grown past?
What do you mean an age-old matter?
Right.
It's history.
But 56 years is quite some time.
Well, go to Britain. Go to Britain. Go to America. Go to Germany. Do they not still celebrate what happened with Hitler and the Jews? So why should we throw ours away? And it goes to show that what Kwame Nkrumah set his eyes to do, we haven't been able to achieve it.
Is that the lesson the CPP wants us to draw from this?
It is not a lesson of the CPP, it's a lesson of the country. Why do we still have the kind of unemployment we have today? Why are we still exporting raw materials and we are not adding value? Why is employment so high today? Why is the housing situation so dire today? Why doesn't the country have money with all the natural resources? Kwame Nkrumah started that process. Do you know we had a shipping line with 8 vessels? Where are they today? We don't even own one plane for commercial purposes. A lot of our infrastructure, a lot of our natural resources are in the hands of foreigners. And you tell me that is not a day of shame? 56 years. Even that is 66. Let me do 66 years after, before independence, when Kwame Nkrumah became a leader of government business. And then the country then turned into independence and a republic. Have we been able to move forward? Yes, we've been able to have some gains. But those gains haven't put the country in a better position. Look, those who, and I heard General Ankara say Kwame Nkrumah was useless. You know what triggered this particular coup? It started in 1964 when they tried to assassinate Kwame Nkrumah in Flagstaff House, and he was saved by
the officer.
The officer, and in the end, the officer was killed. A communique went to Lyndon Johnson, indicating that the attempted assassination of President Nkrumah has failed. That was when they fingered Ankara. And between 64 and 65, Kwame Nkrumah was able to pinpoint those who were part and parcel of that. And Ankara and General Otu were part and parcel of it, and he was able to eliminate them. Then they fingered Afrifa and Kutuka, and unfortunately, when he left, they did the coup. Why didn't they do the coup when he was here? Could they have done it? And people would tell you that, oh, he was a dictator. Tell me something. If at any given time, bombs are being thrown at you, what would you do as a leader? Let's say, for instance, such a thing was happening to our present president today. What would he have done as a leader? Kwame Nkrumah died with bomb pellets in his body. He died white. His whole body turned white. And you want to tell me that he does not have fundamental human rights to protect himself?
For some, it's just as though the CPP is attempting to immortalize an individual who already has a place in Ghana's history. Are you suspecting that that place is no longer where it is, and that the influence, the history surrounding Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is receding? And for that matter, that's why we're having the CPP emerging today to mark the 56th
It's got nothing
anniversary.
to do with immortalizing an individual. It's got to do with where is our country today, and what is it that we did in the First Republic that could have put our country where it's supposed to be. It's not. Kwame Nkrumah isn't the CPPs. Kwame Nkrumah is for Africa and the world. Otherwise, would they have voted him the Millennium Gentleman of the Gentleman of the Millennium, 2000? Will they? He's for everybody because of what he did. And the Americans saw it. The Americans realized that where he was leading Ghana to and where he was leading Africa to, if we became a superpower with all the natural resources we had, there's no way they would get anything. Because we were feeding them with our natural resources, and we are still feeding them with our natural resources.
But what's interesting is that post Kwame Nkrumah, we've seen leaders ascend to that throne, becoming the leader of the nation that the CPP has always argued is very wealthy in terms of natural resources and should be able to find its spot, not just in Africa, but the world. Why are we having a difficulty in finding that perfect replacement? At least the overthrow has happened. Why are we having that difficulty in finding the perfect replacement for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
Well, any leader who comes feels is a perfect replacement. But then what then happens is...
Have we seen a perfect replacement? I guess that's
what then
question.
happens is that partisan politics starts playing in, and personal interests start coming in, and selfishness and greed starts getting in, and family and friends start getting in. And the main cause that needs to build a country is put aside. And people see their political parties as the mainstay in the country. If we are to build this nation, one party can't build this nation. Everybody would have to put their hands together to build this nation. And unfortunately, we missed the boat. Unfortunately, when President Rawlings came in as PNDC, he had the good intention, but he didn't have the wherewithal. And he left it for the people he put in place to try and do it. And what happened? They weren't able to because personal interest came in. One of Ghana's major problems is personal interest. That the country is not as big as the personal interest of individuals and politicians. And if we don't stop that, we're not going anywhere. Why is Tor where Tor is today? And now, with what Russia is going through, look at our oil prices. That is what we're talking about. Look at our fuel prices today. And with Russia and its sanctions, it's going to go through the roof because Russia is number 2 when it comes to refined petroleum products and oil.
Right.
So if they're being sanctioned, obviously, the price has jumped from $96 per barrel to $105 per barrel Brent, and it won't affect us. And if we had our own refinery, and if leaders had come in and they had expanded the refinery, made the refinery strong enough, we are an oil-producing country. We could have produced our own oil and served our own people at a much lower rate, and even served the sub-region. Have we been able to do that? That is what we're talking about, not the individual.
And Kwame, the point also is that well, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and his regime was able to achieve that, particularly because they were able to capture political power. It's been more than 50 years since the CPP had its turn of running the affairs of this nation. Ever since the 92 democratic dispensation, all we've seen is the NDC and the MPP. You've not made efforts as a political party to sell that message out to the Ghanaians and for the Ghanaians to accept you and give you another chance. Why?
Let me tell you something. With regards to the way the CPP in Nkrumah's government was able to capture and do the things they didn't only do it by manifesto. They did it by long-term development plans.
But at least they won an election. That's a fact.
It was 5 years, it was 7 years, it was 10 years. Have we been able to do that? The parties that have come into power, have they been able to do that?
But that's the essence of the question I'm asking. They are not bound necessarily by the ideologies of the CPP. Why is it becoming difficult for your party to win the electoral?
Give me time. If we were to follow that trajectory,
right.
And remember, for me, I don't really care which party is in power, so far as Ghana is going forward. My agenda is Ghana, not a political party. So if a party comes into power and they're doing great and they're doing well for the country, I will clap for them. That is my trajectory. Yes, if my party is in power, fantastic.
But it's essential in achieving the aims, right?
Come in. My party is not in power because the Ghanaian public don't see us as credible enough to be able to deliver.
The CPP is not credible?
Well, that is what the people say. I'm not saying it, but that's what the people say. When you go and you go to the people, they say, well, yes, the CPP of the old is not the CPP of today. Show us that you can run this country and we'll give you our vote.
And that stares you back in the face as the CPP.
Yes, it does stare us back in the face.
The fact that you've not been able to put yourself together.
Back in the face.
Right.
It stares us back in the face. And when you take where the CPP has come from, no other political party has been through what the CPP has gone through.
Really?
None. We were banned. Our name was thrown out. We were splintered. The NDC came, they splintered us. So many things have happened to us. It's even a miracle that we still survive today. But it behoves on us to prove that we have the wherewithal to rule. And we haven't been able to prove that. And we have to work harder. And apart from that, the Nkrumah's tradition is splintered. PNC, GCPP, we are splintered. Ghanaians aren't looking for a tradition that is...
We'll talk about the way out as to whether or not unification will be the way out in terms of breaking the duopoly. But the reason why I was asking the earlier question was about political ideology. We do know that every party is driven by ideologies. The NPP
ideology?
Says,
do they have an
obviously,
ideology?
the NPP claims it is right from the center. That's what the NPP claims to be. Well, I mean, technically speaking, it should be. So they may not necessarily align with the CPP ideals. That's why I'm asking the question about your strategy and what you intend to do to win the hearts of Ghanaians, because that's one of the critical ways of changing what it is that you want to see.
We need to be able to build the party first, build the structures of the party first. That's number one. You cannot have a party that has a flamboyant flag bearer and a weak party. Look, in '79, we had a very strong party. That's why when Liman came, Liman wasn't a CPP man. Liman was plugged, put in there, and he won.
Right.
Because we had a strong party. And if we, as CPP people, are not able to build a strong foundation, a strong party, to convince people that we are a better alternative to the duopoly, then we will not win. It behoves on us to be able to do that. It behoves on us to be able to convince. It behoves on us to show the people what we have been capable of doing. And that some of the things we did, Ghanaians are still benefiting from it today. And that we would be able to rule. We need to prove that. If we can't, then we're not going to win an election.
Kwame, I'm interested in finding out what's the future looking like for the CPP. It's obviously a question that I'm sure you faced countless times being asked you in the past. Now I'm asking this now because obviously you are not happy about the direction of the country and where we're going or headed in terms of our economy, in terms of leadership as well. What's the future looking like for the CPP?
As I told you, we've got to build the CPP into a credible party where people will say, they can rule. That's the first point. Convince people.
So you're not ready for power yet?
Well, I don't think where we are now and with the kind of party structure we have now, we are ready for power. I'm being very honest with you because I'm not dealing with only a political party, I'm dealing with a country.
Right.
And if a political party is going to rule a country, you need to be able to prove that you have the wherewithal to do it.
So if that's not happening anytime soon, the question will be, what are your demands and what's contained in the statement?
We are working on it.
I get that point, but you've also released the statement today. You are not just focused on reorganizing the CPP, but you want to see a few changes at the national level in terms of leadership of this country and where we are headed. What are the key demands of the CPP on this 56th anniversary that you're marking in terms of the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah?
We've got to be able to build our indigenous people. This country is for Ghanaians. It's not for foreigners. If you look at a lot of the strategic businesses we have, is being run by foreigners. Take the telecoms industry. Take the telecoms industry today. We had a strong Ghana Telecoms. Unfortunately, we didn't manage it well. And what happened? We sold it out and we bought it back for $1. That's what the government wants us to believe. What was the sense in that? If we had kept Ghana Telecom and put the right management in place, don't you think the 770.4 billion that the telecoms industry are doing in 2020, Ghana Telecom would have done equally? They wouldn't bring government coffers, money to government coffers? The cocoa industry, what are we still doing? From Kwame Nkrumah's time, we were exporting raw materials. Even Kwame Nkrumah tried to have a cocoa processing plant, and we had it. Where's the cocoa processing plant today? Gold, do we refine it here? We're exporting bullion, and we import gold back.
Right.
Do we get the kinds of money we are looking for? These are the type of things we are looking to change. Governments coming, they should change. Look at our education system today. We are churning out young students, our sons and daughters, cousins, aunts and uncles. Where's the work for them to do? Even in the media today, if you want to live here, you go to another media house. We are churning our people around the same place where you should be able to open up and have other opportunities. Is that happening? It's not. These are some of the things we're talking about. And we have to be able to get to a point where the people are part and parcel of governance, that they understand where the country is heading to. How many people know what's in the MPP manifesto? How many people know what's in the NDC manifesto? Don't you think if we had a long-term national development plan where we've coached every Ghanaian to understand what is in there, we would be able to progress with the people? And that is what you see. Governments of the Fourth Republic haven't been able to bring the people along at any given time, and that is a challenge. It has to change. Because you see, with technology today, the youth are getting much more open,
right,
more discerning. The young ones would question you. It wasn't like in my days when we were young. Today, social media would give you whatever information you're looking for.
Right.
And so we shouldn't take that youth for granted, but we should always remember that the best natural resource any country has is its people.
We need to go, but you were about giving us updates on the unification process. Are we likely to see all parties who claim to be Nkrumahist come under one umbrella?
And that is one of the challenges we have, because Ghanaians don't like splinter parties. And we need to be able to work to bring all Nkrumah's parties under one umbrella. And it's not a question of, oh, I want to be flag bearer, I want to be this. Any position they put you in, you are there to serve. Let's serve our nation. Because service to a nation is sacrificial. Service to a nation hasn't got to do with grabbing stuff left, right, center. And if, with the Nkrumahist ideology, if we cannot serve and serve for the benefit of our people, then we also would have failed.
I'm grateful. Kwame Jantua is the chairperson of the political committee of the Convention People's Party, joining us here to mark 56 years since the overthrow of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.